I want to talk to you today about something that I had to learn the hard way. For many years, I was a single mom. I got divorced when my kids were 14, 9, and 4. So one in middle school, one in elementary, one in daycare. And my parents had just retired to Florida the year before. I did the single parent thing for 20 years the second time around. The first time was when my oldest was 11 months old until she was almost 5, which is when I met my second husband. It took me a really long time, as in many, many years, to learn that asking for help wasn't a weakness. It's actually a huge strength. But when you're new to being a single mom, if you don't have family around and you don't want to bother your friends, or for those of us doers who wouldn't even have occurred to us to ask somebody for help, you learn to do it all yourself. You handle it, you figure things out, and you don't wait around for help because honestly, it usually wasn't coming anyway. So I became very capable and very independent and very strong. And I was proud of myself for it. I was exhausted and sometimes wondered how I made it through the end of the day, especially as my kids got older with all their activities. But I was proud because being a single parent is the hardest job on earth. Now, years later, when I started dating, without even realizing it, I brought that same energy into it. I planned dates since I was used to planning everything else, even though deep down inside, I would have loved somebody to take care of things for me because acts of service is one of my primary love languages. And maybe that's because I was on my own for so long. I did a lot of initiating conversations. I checked in first. I drove to him, not all the time, but looking way back, I did it way more than I really should have. I was always making things easy for the guys I went out with. I was basically running the relationship before there even was a relationship. And then I'd sit there wondering why he wasn't showing up for me. Go figure. Here's what I had to learn. And I wish someone had told me this sooner, so I'm going to share it with you. The way a man perceives you at the beginning is really important to watch. If he's barely showing up now, pay attention because early dating isn't confusing, it's revealing. A lot of women over 50 fall into this pattern, and there's a reason. We're used to being the responsible one. We've raised children, we've built careers, managed households, been the go to person when someone needs something, held it all together managing a life. We know how to make things happen, but strength can quietly turn into overfunctioning in dating and relationships. We initiate because we don't want to seem difficult. We plan because we're afraid nothing will happen otherwise. And we give more because we don't want men to think we're asking too much. And then suddenly we're doing all the emotional labor and the logistical labor and the relationship labor all by ourselves. That's not a partnership, that's exhaustion. It's where many women accidentally become what I call a convenience girlfriend. You're available, you're flexible, you make things easy, you adjust your schedule, you drive to him, you accept last minute plans. He enjoys your company, but he never actually steps up. And that's because he doesn't have to. When someone gets relationship benefits without relationship hurt, they rarely change the arrangement. Not because you're not amazing, but because the dynamic was set up that way from the beginning. And we have to be responsible for that. Look, we teach people how to treat us, and that goes for friends and family too. Huge life lesson there that I needed to learn. So if you're teaching him that he doesn't have to do anything, why should he? Or why would he? So you can't then just turn around and be resentful and angry because he isn't doing anything because you taught him that it was okay. I know it's not easy to hear or own, but I'm telling you this because it's important. So know that it's coming from my heart. So let me share 5 red flags that I learned through my own dating experience when it comes to effort. The first one is when he never initiates plans. If you're always the one suggesting dinner or asking when you're going to see each other again, that tells you something important. Interest shows up as effort. Someone who's genuinely excited about you wants to see you. Like I always say, if you want to know how someone feels about you, watch what they do, not what they say. Actions speak louder than words, ladies. You shouldn't feel like the cruise director of your own love life. The second one is he always wants you to drive to him. Now, occasionally that's completely normal. And if there's a legit reason he can't drive, you can decide if that works for you. I get that life happens. Look, my husband, when we go somewhere, I do most of the driving because he's cross-eyed and he would rather that I drive, especially at night. And I don't mind. But I'm talking about at the very beginning, when you're just getting to know each other. And he's always asking if you can come to him. If it becomes the norm or a pattern at the beginning, what you're seeing is convenience, not investment. Effort includes showing up physically, not just emotionally. Number 3, last minute invitations. If you're only hearing from him at the last minute, it usually means you're filling an open time slot on his calendar and not being intentionally chosen. A man who values you plans ahead because he doesn't want to miss the opportunity to see you. I think sometimes, especially when you like someone or see potential, you're tempted to accept whatever they're going to give you. Breadcrumbs. Believe me, I've been there. But once again, actions speak louder than words, and you need to pay attention. Life is too short. And when you're spending your time focusing on getting crumbs, you could be missing out on someone who is more in line with you and your effort. Number 4, he doesn't confirm plans, so you're always left wondering if the date is actually happening. You're checking your phone regularly all day and rearranging your schedule just in case. You have that uneasy, unsure feeling, and you're in your head making up stories as to why he hasn't confirmed yet. When you're dating someone who has done some inner work on themselves and who knows what they want, you won't feel like you're guessing all the time. I want you to hear me loud and clear. Clarity is attractive. Consistency is attractive. Peace is attractive. And now for number 5, the big one. He says he wants a relationship, but his actions stay casual. This is where we often talk ourselves into staying. We listen to the words instead of watching the behavior. Notice the recurring theme here when it comes to actions speak louder than words. Relationships are built on patterns, not promises. If someone wants something serious, their effort reflects it, and you're going to know. Now, this is the important part. I'm not telling you to play games. I would never suggest that because that's not who I am. This isn't about pretending not to care or waiting 3 hours to text back. You're too old for those games like that. But what I am talking about is pulling back a little. So you're observing instead of performing. You stop chasing. You stop managing. You stop trying to prove yourself. And you just start watching. Does he initiate? Does he follow through? Does he make space for you? You absolutely don't need ultimatums. Too old for that, too. Sometimes it's as simple as speaking up and asking for what you want. Something like, I really appreciate it when you take the lead on making plans. It makes me feel special, or it makes me feel taken care of, or whatever other word you want to use. That isn't needy. That's honest and putting it out there. And the right man isn't going to be scared of clarity. He'll respond to it. And if he doesn't, you'll have your answer because that speaks volumes. Speaking up has not always been easy for me. I've always been really bad at it, actually, growing up. I've worked on it for years. And once in a while, I still fall into an old pattern because I'm human. But I want to give you a prime example of ignoring a really big red flag for me when I did speak up. Now, this might not have been a red flag for everybody, but it was for me, especially because I was in the process of losing a lot of weight and I was trying to really take care of myself, which the guy I was dating knew from the start because it was in my profile and we had even talked about it. So the guy I was dating for years was a great cook. But unfortunately, a lot of the cooking he did, he learned from his grandmother, who taught him like good old fashioned comfort food cooking, especially the side dishes. He'd make chicken or steak for dinner on the grill, but then like homemade mac and cheese or like a cheesy rice or mashed potatoes or something really, really fattening. The occasional chicken pot pie, and I shouldn't even say occasional because it was a lot. And a lot of other good things that used a lot of butter or cream, bacon, etc. You get the point. I had a lot of conversations with him about cooking a little healthier, and it would last a weekend or two, and then it would go back to normal. Now, I'm not going to lie, as a single mom, him doing the cooking was great, especially since, like I said before, acts of service is one of my primary love languages. But I didn't want to gain back the 100 pounds I had already lost. So I'd bring it up again, and it would last a week or two. And I'd bring it up again, and it would last a week or two. And after, I don't even know how many months, I don't even remember, I stopped bringing it up and I let it go. And that's on me. Now, some of you might say that I wasted 3 years of my life, and when it ended, I told myself the same thing. But the truth is, I don't regret it at all because I had to learn something really important. And sometimes things show up over and over and over again until we actually learn the lesson. For me, the lesson had to do with learning to love myself enough and knowing my worth because no relationship was worth me sacrificing my health. And I didn't belong with someone who didn't recognize that, no matter how many vacations we went on or any other, good things in the relationship. Bottom line is when you know your worth, you stop auditioning for love. Learning to love yourself and take radical responsibility for your life, the decisions, the choices, all of it is how you become a leader in your life. And personal leadership changes how you date because you won't be trying to convince someone to choose you. You allow space for someone who naturally does. When I met my husband, one of the big differences was this. I didn't have to carry the relationship. I didn't have to wonder if he was interested because he showed up consistently, calmly, and clearly. And after years of confusing dating experiences, that steadiness was really attractive because healthy love doesn't make you work harder. It makes you feel safe enough to relax. So if you take one thing away from this video, let it be this. The right man will not make you wonder if he's interested. He will show you, not once, not occasionally, but consistently, without you having to chase, manage, or ask for basic effort. If you feel like you're carrying the relationship, you probably are, and you deserve mutual effort. If any of this resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. So tell me in the comments, have you ever realized you were doing all the work in dating? And if you're ready to date from confidence instead of overgiving, make sure you subscribe. I share videos here every week to help women over 50 create healthy, lasting love, starting from the inside out. You got this, and I've got you. Remember, your best relationship starts with you. See you next time.